She was just walking home, when the boys in the car slowed down beside her, laughed, and hurled words no one should ever have to hear. But they didn't know, someone was watching. And he wasn't just anyone. He was a father. A protector. And that day, he chose not to stay silent. Before we dive into this gripping story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more real stories that move your heart and open your eyes. It started like any other afternoon in the sleepy little suburb of Crestview. The air smelled of fresh-cut lawns and the sun spilled warm golden light over the neat rows of houses. Lily, a quiet 17-year-old girl with large curious eyes and a book always under her arm, had just finished her shift at the small library on Main Street. She always walked home. It was her peace, the only time she felt the world slow down enough for her to think. She wore her favorite purple sneakers that day. Not because they were trendy or expensive. They weren't. They were old and scuffed, but they reminded her of her late mother. They'd gone shopping together for those shoes just a few weeks before her mom's cancer diagnosis. Since then, the shoes felt like a hug around her feet every time she put them on. Lily lived with her grandmother, a soft-spoken woman with tired eyes and trembling hands. Money was tight. Very tight. But Lily never complained. She studied hard, helped at the library, and tried not to need anything extra. She was shy, yes, but not invisible. At school, a group of boys in senior year, football players with too much arrogance and not enough consequences, noticed her. Not because of her brilliance or her kind heart. Not because she was a gentle soul in a harsh world. No. They noticed her because they could tell she wouldn't fight back. Because people like Lily are magnets for cruelty in the hands of boys raised on entitlement and silence. That day, as she walked past the hardware store, a black pickup truck slowed down behind her. Inside were the three boys, Tyler, Zach, and Connor. Known for their smirks and beer breath, they were exactly the kind of boys mothers warned their daughters about. But Lily didn't hear them at first. She had her headphones in. Until a loud whistle snapped her attention. "Hey, purple shoes!" Tyler yelled, laughing. Lily stopped. Zach leaned out the window. "How much for a ride, sweetheart?" His tone was thick with mockery. Connor made an obscene gesture. "You walking home, or walking the streets?" Lily froze. Her cheeks burned. She fumbled for words, eyes darting around, but no one else was on the street. They laughed louder. But they weren't alone. Across the road, behind the gas station's rusting fence, Daniel was stacking cardboard boxes into the recycling bin. He wasn't anyone special, or at least he didn't think so. He was just a single father trying to make ends meet, working long hours at the local auto shop. His daughter, Emma, was only 6. Her mother had left when Emma was still in diapers, and since then, Daniel had done his best, cutting lunches into shapes, braiding hair, poorly, and reading bedtime stories even when he was too tired to keep his eyes open. Daniel didn't consider himself a hero. He barely considered himself good enough. But he saw it. He saw Lily's face. That flash of pain, shame, and helplessness. And something broke inside him. It wasn't the first time he'd seen those boys cruise around town, laughing too loud, puffed up with confidence. They were Crestview's golden boys, the kind that never saw consequences. But Daniel didn't see golden boys. He saw wolves in Letterman jackets. Before he knew it, Daniel had dropped the boxes and was already crossing the street. The truck was still crawling beside Lily, the boys too amused with themselves to notice him approaching. Then, suddenly, boom. Daniel slammed his hand against the hood of the truck. Hard. The laughter stopped. "Get out," Daniel said quietly, staring directly at Tyler behind the wheel. The boys blinked. "Who the hell are you?" Tyler barked, suddenly not so confident. Daniel didn't answer. His jaw was clenched tight. His knuckles white. "Is there a problem, old man?" Zach added, trying to puff up his chest. Daniel's voice was low, but shaking with fury. "You think it's funny to humiliate a young girl? You think it's okay to follow her in your truck like she's prey?" Connor scoffed. "What, is she your daughter?" Daniel turned to Lily. "Are you okay?" She nodded silently, eyes wide. "I'm calling the cops," Zach threatened, now pulling out his phone. "Good," Daniel said, stepping closer. "I'd love for them to hear what you said. I'd love to repeat every word you shouted so your moms and your coaches can listen too. Let's do it." The color drained from their faces. Tyler reversed. "Let's go." But Daniel wasn't done. As the truck peeled back, Daniel reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and took a clear photo of the license plate. Then he walked back to Lily, who was still shaking. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," he said. "You didn't deserve any of it. Do you want me to walk you home?" Lily hesitated, then nodded. As they walked, she spoke softly. "No one's ever stood up for me before." Daniel glanced down at her and smiled gently. "Everyone deserves someone who will." They didn't talk much more. But something powerful passed between them in silence. That night, Daniel posted about the incident anonymously on the town's local forum, detailing what the boys had done, and what he had witnessed. He didn't name names. He didn't need to. Within hours, the town exploded. Messages poured in. Other girls came forward, girls who had also been followed, harassed, humiliated. Parents demanded answers. The school board scheduled an emergency meeting. And the boys? They weren't laughing anymore. But that was just the beginning. By morning, the story had taken over Crestview like wildfire. Daniel hadn't planned for any of this. He just couldn't stomach the thought of staying silent. But now, everyone was talking. Parents whispered outside the school. Teachers avoided eye contact with the football coach. Principal Jenkins, once proud of his school's spotless image, looked like a man watching his house collapse brick by brick. Lily stayed home that day. Her grandmother held her close, whispering prayers over her trembling body. But the girl who walked into that truck's shadow the day before was already changing. Slowly. Quietly. Daniel, meanwhile, got a knock on his door around 9 a.m. It wasn't the police. It was Tyler's father. Mr. Grant. The school board president. Clean-shaven. Well-dressed. Furious. "You humiliated my son," he snapped. Daniel stood firm. "Your son humiliated a girl. I stopped him. You assaulted a vehicle. You threatened them." Daniel didn't blink. "They threatened her." Silence. Then Mr. Grant leaned in. "If you think this little stunt won't come back to bite you, you're wrong." But Daniel only smiled. "Go ahead. I'd love for you to tell a courtroom what your son said to a teenage girl." Mr. Grant walked away, but Daniel knew it wasn't over. Power doesn't like to be challenged. And in Crestview, the Grants were power. That night, something happened that no one expected. Someone, anonymous, sent the full video of the incident to every teacher, student, and parent group chat in town. It was security footage from the gas station across the street. Every word the boys said. Every second of Lily's pain. And Daniel's rage. Unfiltered. Raw. The town split in two. Some blamed the boys. Others blamed Daniel. But in Lily's inbox? 100 messages. From girls who'd been catcalled, followed, harassed, even assaulted. Most had stayed silent. Until now. One message stood out. "Thank you for speaking up." He did it to me too. I just never thought anyone would believe me. That was the turning point. The school launched an internal investigation. The football team suspended the 3 boys indefinitely. Parents demanded accountability. Mr. Grant stepped down from the board under pressure. And Daniel? He was offered a job, working with troubled boys at a local youth center. He almost said no. But when Lily showed up, smiling nervously in her purple shoes, and handed him a note that simply read, "Thank you for seeing me," he knew what he had to do.